and welcome to another episode of the Divorced Woman's Guide podcast. How are you guys doing today? As a reminder, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you do not miss a single episode that comes out every single week. And I also want to highlight, in case you hadn't heard yet, but my book, Divorce Sucks, Now What, is currently available on Amazon to purchase as a paperback, and it's also available on Kindle. So please be sure to buy it. I talk about the 5 steps that I took to heal and to recover fully from my divorce as I walk down the aisle from I do to I'm divorced. So hope that you guys have your copies, because I share some really intimate details about my divorce, as well as the journey that I went on simultaneously through my divorce with my mom as she was fighting ovarian cancer. So check it out. So let's get back to today's episode. So today's episode has to do with managing our emotions and finding healthy ways that we can cope with difficult feelings that come up. And today's episode was actually inspired by a card that I pulled from one of my Oracle decks. And the card that I pulled is, I'm going to show it to you guys who are watching this and can see it. It's from one of my favorite decks, which is the Rose Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. And the card pulled is the Child Within. And this is what inspired me to want to talk about this today, because so many times the reason why we feel like we are being triggered and we feel as though we are on this insane emotional roller coaster because of our divorce is because we are feeling triggered. There's something inside of us from our childhood that is coming back up that we haven't resolved. And I typically will call that, like, it's information, right? It's information that is coming to the surface that we get to pay attention to. And so I wanted to talk through what my 3-step process is with regards to managing those emotions, and then sharing with you guys the healthy ways that I move through those emotions. So you're going to want to get out a paper and a pen to take notes, perhaps, or come back and re-listen to this episode. So the first step to help cope with your emotions and being on that roller coaster is to stop being so hard on yourself. Please. We set such a high standard, a higher standard for ourselves than we hold other people to. Why do we do this? Why? Why do we hold ourselves to a higher standard and then we beat ourselves up because of it? We're human beings. There's no difference between you and your best friend. But yet here we are beating ourselves up, being super hard on ourselves, playing the should game, right? I should have done this. I should have done that, as though hindsight is something that we have the power to see before we get into a predicament, right? We don't. But yet we sit here and we beat ourselves up. And the first thing that I always ask people when they recognize that they do this is, think about how you speak to yourself. Would you ever talk that way to your child? Would you ever talk that way to your best friend? Would you ever talk that way to a family member, to a colleague, to your boss? Because that's the type of respect that you get to give yourself as you are navigating a path that none of us anticipate that we are going to be going down. We don't know, right? Think about when your kids learn to ride a bike. Do you sit there and you yell at them because they didn't get it right the first time? Do you make them feel like shit because they couldn't get it right? No, we just keep encouraging them. You can do this. You can do this. That's the type of narrative that I want to hear you saying to yourself. That's the kind of narrative that I invite you to think about. What is something different that you can say to encourage yourself instead of yourself up? Okay, that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to allow yourself to release the pain that you are feeling. Now, this is a big step. However, I'm going to break it down for you in a way that feels way more doable and tangible for you in this moment. Okay, so hear me out. So to release the pain, it looks like this. First of all, it doesn't look like what it is that you have been doing, because if it worked, you would be pain-free by now. Let's be honest. What you're doing is not working. So what I'm inviting you to do is to do something different. And the way that you release the pain is this. You allow yourself to feel it, to name it. Because when you feel it, you heal and release it. I'm going to say that again. When you feel the pain, you heal and release it. You stop giving it power. You stop giving it your energy. Think about all the time that you have spent staying in that place of pain. Think about all the energy that you have given your pain, that you have given your past. What would it be like to take that back? How much time in your day would you get back if you stopped allowing yourself to stay in that place? We stay there because the second it comes up, it's super uncomfortable and we shift, or we point our finger at somebody else. That's not what feeling the pain is. Feeling the pain isn't deflecting. It is owning it. It is staying in it. It is swimming in it. And instead of allowing it to be the quicksand, what do we do in quicksand? The more you fight the feeling, fight the sand, you sink. But when you just calm your body, you don't sink. You just sit with it. That's step 2. Step number 3 has to do with compassion, self-compassion. This means being gentle with yourself. Okay, this relates back to step 1 about not beating yourself up. But in order to not beat yourself up, you've got to feel the emotions. And once you feel through those emotions, you get to a place where you feel gentleness with yourself, where you connect with the part of you. Typically, it's your inner child, that part of you that is wounded, that has been living with that wound for so long. And it then becomes about healing that inner child within you, having compassion for that inner child within you, loving that part of you, and allowing yourself to see that you did the best that you could with the tools that you had at the time. Compassion, and know that this isn't how it always has to be. This isn't who you always have to be, that you have the power to shift, that you have the power to change. You have the power to feel differently, that you have the power to create a different life for yourself. You know, I relate a lot of this back to something that I call, it's about your vibration. It's about the energy frequency that you're putting out. Because when you stay in pain, you're inviting negative energy. You're inviting low vibration, low frequency, which just keeps you there. Compassion is a high vibration. It's a high frequency. That's where I want you guys to get yourselves to as you are navigating this roller coaster. And I've given you ways, to healthy ways, I'd say, to move through those feelings. Because ultimately what you're doing is you're doing work on your inner child who's getting poked again. And it's the part of you that just wants to feel safe, that just wants to feel love, freedom, truth. I get it. I've been there. This is the part of you that is knocking on your door and saying, heal me, please heal me today. So recognize that the pain that you are feeling is a wound inside of you that you are here to heal. You are here on this earth to heal the wound. The universe is bringing this experience to you because there's something that you get to heal. So I invite you guys to take these 3 steps and see what changes, see what shifts for you, because I believe that when you make these subtle little shifts, your entire life, the entire trajectory of your life will change too. Where will it change to? Well, suddenly abundance and opportunity start flooding in. You start feeling joy and happiness. People start recognizing it. People want to be around you. You have that energy that is super contagious. And that's where I want you guys to be. That's what I'm hoping today's episode is inspiring you to want to be at. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode. It's so incredibly important that you stand in the pain, allow yourself to feel through it so that it can heal, and then you get to release it. So as you guys know, with every episode, I try to share what I believe is going to help you to navigate wherever it is that you guys are in your process. So please feel free to share your feedback about this week's episode. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Sending you so much love, light, and joy as always. Mwah. Bye, everybody.